I had my car washed a number of Saturday mornings by Fishers of Men, a group of ex-prisoners that wash cars. And one day I asked Bobby, who was the founder of Fishers of Men, to tell me their story, and asked him how long they'd been doing the car wash.
25 years.
Bobby, have you always done the car wash here?
We used to do it at petrol stations, but they found out about what type of people worked there, and they got a bit nervous. So this church is open to us for the last 2 years now.
How many workers do you have each Saturday?
Sometimes about 15.
And how many cars do you wash?
We're very busy. I would say about 50 to 100.
Having the car wash, well, that really pays for all our food for the homeless, the fuel, taking people to appointments. It helps out big. We're not government funded.
Yeah.
So Fishers of Men is a Christian organisation. Our main focus is to get rehab boys off the street, off drugs, off alcohol, and through that we feed the homeless every Sunday, Wednesday. Some of the boys in the rehab actually do furniture as well. They go out and give furniture to people in domestic violence kind of thing. They just need their house kind of done up. So yeah, and we've been doing this for so many years. Obviously I've grown up in it, so I've seen.
And how was that?
Yeah, well, it's not your normal kind of family, I guess. Like we were babysat as a kid, and we always used to have homeless people in our house and stuff like that, getting a meal, and we'd be sitting at the dinner table and people would be knocking at the door for food parcels and stuff. So it's not your normal growing up, but honestly it's taught me how selfless we can be as people. We can sacrifice our own lives to give to others, and that's what my parents have done.
Can you tell me about the Fishers of Men? How did that start?
In April the 16th, it'll be 20 years. But before that, I was working in a church, bringing street people into a mainstream church and telling them about Christ and how God can change their life. But the boys that came to the church caused a bit of a ruckus, caused a bit of a turmoil, that at the end they sort of says, we can't have these people here. We have to close your ministry, close it down. So I left and went to another church, and I became what you call a pastor, working there and getting paid for doing what I was doing. I had 3 houses, I had a girl's house. Things were looking so good. Again, there was dramas in the church where things got out of hand a bit. There was cars were being damaged. The pastor's daughter got into a relationship with one of my boys, and she got pregnant. So things were not looking too good. Again, they closed it down. That's when I thought to myself, what do I do now? Then we talked about it and says, we'll start something on our own. After talking to Jackie, which is my leader from Hong Kong, helped me. She says, why don't you trust God and do something? So I opened the door of my house here for street people to come and have a good meal, and people that was in need, I would shelter them here. And everybody thought, you're the most stupidest person that they've ever met, to allow street people, drug addicts, murderers, junkies, to come into your house.
Are there success stories of people that have
Many
really
success.
Can I say one?
Yes.
All right, where you go.
Can I say one? So one of them, for instance, his name was Wesley, and when he first came to us, he was on opioids. He was at the car wash. He was stationary, like horizontal. He would just lie down in the middle of wherever he was and just go to sleep. He couldn't do anything. He wasn't motivated to get up or do anything, literally. And for the first few weeks, he could barely even, wash half a car. He's been with us for several years on and off, and he now has a job with a car detailing business, and he's just does a great job washing cars, and he polishes them and does these special wax finishes, and he's got a really good work ethic now. So it's like completely changed, completely. Wow. People get changed and transformed, and instead of being takers, they become givers, either in the workforce or in some other charitable ministry.
So, Bobby, tell me about Luke Wilson.
Well, when he first came into the house in our program, I would dare say he was the biggest pain in the backside. He never listened, and he was always agitated and very angry. But I tried to discipline quite a lot, and many times I myself got angry, and I think we almost got into a little bit of a, how we call that, a strong debate. Anyway, he left. After about a couple of months, I think he left. And then he called me up again and said he wanted to come back. And I took him back in again. And we did the same thing, and pointing him to the way to a better path in life and showing him a lot of love. And then I saw the drastic change in his life.
So I used to be a neighbourhood dope dealer, but now I'm a neighbourhood hope dealer, dealing hope to the lost. But I did grow up in a good family. It was a beautiful family, loving family. But also led me into a life of destruction, even though it's not their fault. My parents done the best they could, supplied everything for us. But yeah, I started doing drugs from a very young age, smoking weed and drinking alcohol at the age of 7. And then yeah, started doing the harder stuff at the age of 10 and putting needles in my arm at the age of 13. So I had no hope. I was lost, confused. I didn't want to be here. I was a failure in every sense of the word. Even tried to commit suicide, tried many times. Got a 12-page criminal history from the stupid things I've done. In and out of jail for 18 years. I've done about 10 years jail all up. And just silliness, you know, and I can't turn back the time, what I actually done. But I know I can change my future. And so I've rang Bobby back at 7 o'clock. I've gone, hey mate, do you remember me, rah rah? And he's gone, yeah, I remember you. Meet me at Currabee train station midday tomorrow. And yeah, so I was in the house ever since, the 22nd of April 2018 to the 7th of November 2021. So I was one of the leaders in their second stage house and leading the boys, directing them, and I'm now currently back there again, leading the boys again, you know, just being light in the darkness, helping them, but yeah.
So we do 2 containers every, yeah. So like, so 2 of those square containers there, right? And I think they're 10 kilos of onions. We'll keep talking, I'll keep going. Not a problem, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
So how many people would you feed?
Oh, we feed probably, give and take, you know, it just depends on the night. Up to 100 people, even more. The street feed I started back in 2019. Me and another brother of mine went to Planet Shakers conference in the valley. R&O Showgrounds, to be honest, Bowen Hills. And he wanted to go for a feed in the valley. So walking to Brunswick Street Mall, stopped at the Bolland Mall, and here's this homeless person getting a feed out of the bin. I couldn't go to Macca's to get myself a feed without getting him one. So I walk out of Macca's again, can I get 50 hamburgers, please, and a large quarter pounder meal? And he mostly just looked at me like, huh? So the penny dropped, and he's like, can I get 50 hamburgers, and a large big back meal? We sat down, ate our meals. And after that, we handed out 100 hamburgers. We've done that every day at the Planet Shakers conference. Then after the conference, we made an agreement to come out every Thursday and Friday night. Next minute, Hope Ministries, Peter and Lee, they came alongside me. And so we went from hamburgers to pizzas to home-cooked meals.
Okay.
And then in the middle of COVID, so COVID hit, and usually there's 3 street vans here a night, you know. Well, every given night, you know, there's street vans here for them, or there's somewhere they can get fed. Middle of COVID, everyone shut down. So Rosie stopped, Eddie's van stopped, all these places just stopped. They're all closed. So here's the hungry, you know, sitting here waiting to be fed. So we came last year and there was like 300 homeless waiting for a feed. We gave out all our meals here. And we end up deciding to just make it one night a week. Yeah, come here on a Monday night and do a barbecue. You know, and so we've been doing that since March 2020.
And it all started with McDonald's, eh?
All started with McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know.
Most of them has the same story as me. Very broken when we were little kids. Broken marriages, wrong relationships, and we hanged around with wrong type of people, and it just snowballed and it got pretty ugly. But through people's kindness and love, change our mindset and change our heart and change mine. And I know if it can change me, it can change anybody.
I can't say, I can't find the words sometimes to explain this guy. He's yeah, like I said, he found me at my lowest. 6 years ago, I just finished. Well, I had been spending 2 years of my life full time on the streets in Brisbane City at Fortitude Valley, which is, I guess, the equivalent of Sydney's King's Cross. I spent basically 17 years. I did the math. It's about 17 years. I spent homeless or in jail or out of jail or in some sort of hostel or something like that, sleeping rough, or constantly in a crisis situation, I was saying. Hopelessly addicted to drugs and alcoholic, violent criminal really, thief, drug dealer, drug abuser, And I found myself sleeping on the streets of Fortitude Valley, bro, on a cardboard box. And yeah, that's when I met Bobby, bro.
And what did Bobby do to help change your life?
I like this story. So I guess I thought my tribe, I thought my family, I thought I was going to be a crim for life, brother, all right? Death before dishonor, and I'll go down in a blaze of glory, I'd abandoned all hope, and I'd abandoned the hope of ever having a hope many, many years ago, bro, you know what I mean? I'd embraced self-destruction, yeah? And so even on the streets, you have a little bit of a community, right? You try and look out for one another as best you can, but it really is dog eat dog, bro, eh? But funnily enough, there was one of my mates there. He said, I just asked him one night, I said, where are you going? And he goes, oh, I'm going for a feed. I said, where are you going? And he goes, a place called Fisher's of Men. And I said, okay. He said, do you want to come? I said, yeah, let's go. And then so we walked up the street and this bus rocks up, little Hiace, Toyota Hiace, people mover, and I hopped in and there was a guy with long hair, earrings, Asian looking fella, and I hopped in and I remember I jumped in the truck and I said, F me, man, it's been about 2 years since I've been in a car that's not a paddy wagon, and Bobby says to me, don't swear, just mind your language, please. And then I didn't know who he was or what any of this was about. I didn't know, I didn't know anything about Fishers on Men or what they were about. But I hopped in this van and we went on a drive. Took us about 40 minutes. I'm a Sydney-sider, Sydney boy, so I spent. That's where I grew up. So we hopped in the truck and we went up for a drive for about half an hour. We ended up in a suburb called Rochedale South. Got out of the van and we're at some random dude's house, and still a bit hazy, but we walked in the front door and I walked into some guy's living room, bro, and it turned out to be Bobby's house. And in this house there was a hive of activity, people preparing food, and it was for me, bro.
When Simo first came to us, he was a bit of a risk because he was so on the edge, but he was genuine. And that's what matters the most. So he had a heart that just said, I want to change and I want
to know more about Jesus. He was very sincere in his desire and his faith.
So I go to the leaders meeting sometimes, and you know, so what's going on with everything? How's this house going? How's that house going? How are these guys going? And I say, this guy's doing this, this guy's doing this. You know what I mean? I can't. You know this. I don't see him making it, Bobby. I don't see him making it. You know, he keeps doing this, that, da 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 da. I got to protect my brother here. You know, he's this guy, this and that. And Bobby would just say, you know, we got to love him. We just got to love him.
Now, you run a coffee shop at Balimba for New Heart Baptist Church.
Yep.
Not just a coffee shop.
So yeah, this coffee shop, the aim of it is to foster human connection, you know, and relationships. And I like, you know, that phrase, we're all in this together, bro. You know, we really are, eh?
Mm.
Oh yeah, it's just instantly the moment that I started coming here, made good family, good friends. The coffee's great, and it's really good, close sense of community. You know, you can really rely on people like my friend Peter here. Come here, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Wow, good to see you.
So you yourself, you feel that connection and sense of belonging, Simone?
I do now.
But you never used to, eh?
I lived, and I was thinking about that this afternoon, that I've spent the majority of my life feeling quite alone and isolated, disconnected without a place or a purpose or a community or a tribe, you know. And it's only recently in the last 6 years of my life that I've found that connection and I've found that community, yeah.
Okay, we're here at these three things, beautiful cafe. What's the three things?
There's a couple of things actually. It's faith, hope and love, and it's coffee, food and friends. You know, but out of all that, love is the greatest, mate.
Love is the greatest.
Yeah, we double up.
What's it like working together, you two?
Honestly, no, it's great.
He's got a lovely wife and a beautiful daughter, and he's restored his relationships with his son. And his dad and his whole family, and he's just a wonderful contributing member of society.
Fishes and Men is definitely about love. I think my parents wouldn't be here without the love they have for these people, and I think that we wouldn't have all these volunteers come in and help volunteer if they didn't have love and that conviction to help people, to love on others, and to share the Christ-like love to people that don't experience it often.
One of the things I'm amazed about all your children is that all their names begin with Z. What are their names and why do they begin with Z?
Zoe, Zach,
Zachariah,
Zara, and Zeke. They all begin with Z because they're all from Bobby and Bramwin and being in our family as one big buzz. But no.
So I understand you two have been married for 29 years.
29 years.
She's
She's a very lucky woman.
I'm so lucky.
And we found each other. And through that, God used both of us to do what God has commissioned us to do, to show love to people that really needs it the most. Because I needed love, and love came. Yeah. Using somebody to show me, hey, what is love? There's a song that says, all you need is love. We do need love.
Coffee and food have been the cornerstone of your relationship with Zach.
Yeah, well I work as a barista and Zach's always supported me in our little endeavours. Zach loves getting in the kitchen, I stick to the machine and he sticks to the food, and that's our designated place.
Perfect combination, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's alright, thank you.